Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Matt Johnson, this is the Deep Planet, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to change out the fuel pump for Kawasaki Er6n, Er6f, or the Versys. This is a 2006 to 2008 model, but you know, the newer models are probably pretty similar. You might have bought a fuel pump, maybe secondhand from a wrecker, maybe the fuel tank's damaged, but you've managed to get the fuel pump and you're looking at replacing that. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so you're going to need a 10mm socket or a 10mm spanner to do this. Personally, I prefer to use a socket wrench, and you're also going to want a torque wrench so that you can torque these bolts up to spec. Pretty easy to find that information. Just Google it. Get onto a Kawasaki forum or download the PDF version of the workshop manual and look that up. Always good to double check that you're doing the torque specking that's specific to your motorbike. Loosen off all those bolts. Take note of which way round the pump is. The connector for the petrol is off to the front. It's actually the front right, and your power supply is off to the left. There's only two ways you can actually put this pump back in, so it's either right or it's wrong. Just carefully remove the old fuel pump, and we're going to dump out the fuel that's in there. Now you'll notice that the gasket actually isn't there at the moment. I've had to order that from Japan because when I purchased this fuel pump it didn't have a gasket. So trap for young players, if you're looking at doing this, you want to get ahead of the game and order that from Kawasaki. Can't get it anywhere else as far as I know. Let me know in the comments below if you've managed to find that seal somewhere else. The next, you're going to want to dump out the old fuel. I suggest using something like a bucket or a fuel safe or like an oil pan's going to do the job. Remember, petrol is hazardous, so you want to do this in a well ventilated space. Dump out that old fuel and dispose of that in accordance with your local council regulations. I'm just going to put that outside. So now that we've dumped the fuel out, we're ready to proceed. I'm going to use a little bit of all-purpose grease just to make sure that that seats properly, and it's just something I have a bit of a habit of. Any kind of oil seal or gasket of any description, I just use a little bit of general purpose. It's actually reel lube that I'm using. That's for fishing reels. Kawasaki have their own branded multi-purpose grease that they recommend, but I find that the reel lube works great. So I've ordered the correct bolts from Kawasaki that come pre-installed with the thread lock, and we're going to go replace that carefully. You don't want to damage any of those components. Back in, line it up, place those little bolts in there. Then we're going to hand tighten with a 10mm socket, and then we're going to finish off by torquing it to 9.8 Newton meters. Torque wrench is set. I'm just going to let that seat down gently. And then we always, so with anything like this, we're going to go in a crisscross pattern. So I'm going to start with that bolt, and then move to that bolt, and then to that bolt, and that bolt. It really is that simple. It's really something you want to make sure that you torque up to specifications. That way you know you're not going to strip the bolt, but you also know that you've got that tight enough. then I like to just always go around. And it really is that simple. So if you're looking to replace your fuel pump, maybe you bought a new one, maybe you got one secondhand from a wrecker, that's how you do it. If you've bought one secondhand and you haven't got that seal, you need to jump on to your dealership and order a gasket, and it's ready to go. All right guys, I hope you found that video informative. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, and as always, keep it tidy.